Hi, this is Sonia from Beta Healthcare. Today I will show you how to use SNOAL for semantic queries in ESCG, which is the extended SNOMED CT Compositional Grammar. We will run a few sample queries to get familiar with different kinds of expressions and operators, and I will also show how to create query files and use Content Assist to write script. SNOAL includes an editor and execution environment for ESCG expressions. This is the editor. ESCG is a formal grammar to compose expressions that include operators and defined concept identifiers. You can see the operators here in red. Here's one, this is one, and here. And in black, these are the concept identifiers. What you can see in blue with the green bars is optional text. It means it will not be processed when running the query, but in practice it's usually added because it facilitates reading an expression. All of the operators and grammar constructs are supported as defined in the NHS Logical Record Architecture specification, which is itself an extension of the HL7 term info specification. ESCG expressions are useful because you can query concepts by their relationships as opposed to their human readable descriptions. You can see, for example, in this query, there is a relationship of a finding site in the structure of cardiovascular system. So you can use it for semantic querying. Here is an overview of the different operators that we will be using today. This is what you saw in what appears in red in the query script. And if you want to find more detailed information, we have an online help at our website www.b2international.com, and there's also a Getting Started with Semantic Queries tutorial there, which guides you through a series of sample queries. Let's go back to SNOAL. Query files are located in the Project Explorer view. I already prepared some sample queries, so this is a project folder, and if I open it you can see the different queries. They all have an ESCG extension. If you want to create a query file, you can either do it in a folder that already exists, or you create a new project folder and then you create a query file in this folder. So let me just show you how to create a folder. You just right click on the view and you go to new project, and then you can enter project name, for example my queries, finish. And you see here's the new project folder, and if I right click this folder I can go to new file and enter a name for the file. And it's important that you always end with .escg, so that's the extension. If you don't add this, it will also create a file, but it's not going to be an ESCG file. So if I open this, here I have this, I double click it, I have the empty editor, and here I could type in query script. So it's just like a normal operator, and you see there's already an error message because this is an incomplete query. And if I close it, you can either save it or not. So when you save queries, you can rerun them if you have a new release, for example. If you import a new release and you want to rerun the queries, it makes sense to save them. Files can also be deleted. Just right click it and go to delete, and so it's very easy. You can also delete folders this way. Okay. If you're using the free version of SNOAL, you will find a folder here which is called B2I examples, and it includes sample queries and some explanation about the different expression. So it's a mini tutorial that we already included in the free version. Okay, so let's look at a query. This is a pretty complicated one. Let's start with an easier one. This one has only one concept in it. You see in red, this is again the operator. This operator retrieves the concept behind it, which is clinical finding, and all of its subtypes, all of its children. And after the operator, you always need the concept identifier here. And if I run this query, it will retrieve all clinical findings, which are almost 100,000. It's very easy to run the query. You just click this button here. This is the execute button, and then it executes my query script. It takes a bit because it's a very big query with lots of results. So, and these are the results are displayed in the search view. You see I have 99,669, which is the children of clinical finding plus the parent concept clinical finding, which is included as well. This is why it has an extra match. You might already be familiar with the search view from other videos. There's a filter search here, so you can filter for a certain term. If you double click on one of the matches, the editor opens up and you can see information about this particular concept. If you have a reference set open, let me just open this one, you can also add a search result to the reference set, or you can even add all of the results to the reference set. You can add bookmarks here. You can mark different results and add them to the reference set. So it's quite useful. There are a lot of actions you can do from the search results. Let's go back to our query. Let's close this one here. And try to do this with a different concept. Since it's an editor, text editor, you can simply delete concepts here. Whenever there's a problem, you will see this little symbol here, and if you hover over it, it gives you more information. So this is incomplete. So I can add a concept here. There are different ways of adding a concept. You could simply type in the concept ID, or copy paste the concept ID, or you can take a concept here from the view and simply just drag it into the editor, and it automatically adds the ID and also the name of the concept. So now this query will retrieve all events and the root concept event as well. So we should have around 3,664 results, actually exactly. So you see this is it here, and if I open this, this is all events. If you would like, let me just show you that the root, the parent concept is here as well. Here it is. So this is event. And if you want to exclude this, all you would have to do is delete one of those symbols. So you have now just the subtype operator. And if I run the query again, I get one result less. And if I do a filter for event, it's not there anymore. So the parent concept is not part of the results anymore. Okay, so if you have the symbol twice, it's the concept and subtypes. If you have only one, it's only the subtypes without the parent concept. Okay, let's look at a different one. You see I made a change to the query, and this little star symbol appears here, and this means there are unsaved changes, and if I would like to save it, I would just click this one here, and then the query is saved. Okay. Let's go to the next one, which is how you retrieve reference set members. So far we learned how to retrieve concepts and their descendants. For reference sets, you have to use a different operator, which is this one, a little caret operator. And this one retrieves the non-human simple reference set, which are already opened here. As you can see, it has 1,915 members. Let's close this one and execute our query, so we get the same number of results here. So these are all veterinary terms that are in this reference set. It's also possible to combine two of these expressions. So if we take the first one, which was this one, let's look for clinical findings. I saved it, just move it over. So you can just copy and paste and paste it in here. And I would like to combine these two queries, so all clinical findings that are also a member of the non-human simple reference set. And you see something is missing here, there's a problem. And now Content Assist comes handy. To invoke it, you press Control space and then the menu comes up, and the menu shows only operators that are valid at this particular point of the query, so wherever your cursor is. So I have only three options here. I will use the first one, which is the plus sign, that's for intersection. So let's run it. So now this query is clinical findings that are also a member of the non-human simple reference set. So if you look at the reference set, it would be all of these here, but not the ones that are not a clinical finding, like these. So if I type, for instance, what do we have? Hoof. You see only the clinical findings come back, but not the procedure. So it's what we wanted. Okay. Let's look at a different operator that we can use here. I do again Control space for the Content Assist, and let's use union. So we narrowed the search and union broadens the search. You can also use space in between or start a new paragraph. That makes it a little bit easier, so that has no influence on the query. And now we would have all clinical findings plus all members of the non-human reference set. So a lot more results. So we should have over 100,000 results now. Yes, it's here. And this one also now includes the procedure. So if I do hoof again, now you see here there is all the procedures and the body structure as well included. Okay. What you would like to do in practice is probably not include veterinary terms, but exclude it. And there's an operator for excluding. So I have the query I had before, the intersection, and I use Content Assist, and this is the exclamation mark. This excludes the members of the non-human reference set. So these are all clinical findings that, but not the veterinary terms. And if I run this again, I should not have veterinary terms in it again. So if we look at the results and have hoof, yeah, so all these terms are gone. You can also exclude a sub-hierarchy this way. Let me just remove this one. I would like to exclude the sub-hierarchy disease. I just move it over and run this query. Disease is a pretty big sub-hierarchy. It's over 66,000 concepts, and clinical findings is over 99,000, so I should get a lot less query results. You see it's only 33,000, so this whole sub-hierarchy was excluded from the query. Okay, so this is the exclamation mark. Another expression that is quite useful is something that looks like this. It's a combination of two operators. One is this one, that's just the refinement, so the colon. And then there's the equal sign, which is the attribute value operator. So let me explain to you what this query is looking for. It's looking for bacterial infectious diseases, so this one, and descendants that have a finding site in the lung. So so we would probably say bacterial infectious diseases of the lung, but in ESCG terms, it would have a finding site relationship with the target concept being the lung structure. So this is the equal sign. So if we execute this query, and let's just open one of the results to show you. So it has a finding site of the lung structure. We can even narrow this query. All you have to do is put a comma here as a separator, and let's add a causative organism. I'm going to use content assist again, control space, and now I will just add a causative agent. I just select and hit return, and then equals. And now let's look for an organism. If I want to look for a concept in Content Assist, you go to Concept, add new concept from Picker, and then hit return. And this brings up the quick search that you might be already familiar with. It's the same as when you're just searching for concepts up here. And let me type in the causative agent. This is an organism. And you see I click it and it automatically added again the concept ID. So now this query is for bacterial infectious diseases of the lung with Streptococcus pneumoniae as a causative agent. So this should be a lot less. You see it's only 3 results, and if we open one of those, here's the causative agent. So this is the relationship that is specified here, and we have finding site of the lung structure. Okay, so this is quite neat because you can add as many attributes as you want this way. Okay, one last operator that you might already be familiar with is and or. So and or are always used on the right side of the expression in this refinement expression. So if you want to combine two queries, you would use plus or union, depending on what you want to do. But if you're within this one expression, you have to use and or. So what does and do? This query is clinical findings with an associated morphology of ulcer and inflammation. So both of these criteria have to be met. Let's run this and see the results. So associated morphology, ulcerative inflammation. So both of the criteria were met. That was the wrong one, this one. Okay, so I narrowed the search again and I can use or. So now we're looking for clinical findings with an associated morphology of either an ulcer or an inflammation. So we should have a lot more than 89 results. So over 6,000. So let's look at this one. Inflammation. And let's see if we find something with ulcer. It's probably easier if I just filter for ulcer. And here associated morphology is ulcer. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this little introduction, and there will be a future video about more advanced query expressions and also about query-based reference sets and nested queries. And until then, thanks very much for your attention. Bye-bye.